Afternoon, everyone. I'm Simon McDougall, and I'm standing in for Adam Duval as the mental health warrior is not available today. I'm Simon McDougall. I'm the new employment mindset warrior. I'm just going to play our video, and we will ready to go. Okay, welcome. As I said, I'm Simon McDougall. I'm the workplace warrior standing in for Adam Duval. And we have a special guest today, Beverley Sankey, who's an independent consultant with ARBONNE. And I'm going to ask Beverley to tell her a little bit about herself, but we are going to basically be talking all things health and why it's actually vital for your own mental health. So over to you, Beverley.
Thank you very much, Simon, and thank you for the opportunity as well. Thank you for inviting me today to talk a little bit about the interest that I have and the experience that I've gained over the many years with regards to nutrition, because I'm very passionate about helping people to understand that what they put into their bodies is the fuel that makes their body work. So in ARBONNE, we have a philosophy of mind, body and skin. And that's essentially because if you look after your health from the gut out, so from the inside out, you will be very healthy and you will naturally have very good skin. So we are a company of over 40 years in health and wellness products that are vegan and non-toxic, across the board, from the shampoos and conditioners that you use, skincare, cosmetics, and nutrition supplements, which I'm very passionate about telling people all about how to use them and how they can benefit their health and how they can get into a position where they can eradicate inflammatory foodstuffs and fast foods and actually focus on eating clean and eating the right things. So that's what I do on a daily basis. If you want to know a little bit about my history, I'm not sure how much time we've got to spend on that side of it, things, Simon.
No, you can go ahead. As far as I know, we're scheduled for an hour, I think, or 45 minutes, something like
45, that. 45 minutes, but I've got an hour, so it's fine. So we'll just take it as it comes. But the reason that I became very passionate about nutrition is because many, many years ago, I developed ME, which is fibromyalgia. And there was lots of reasons, I think, that led up to that. So I like to share with people a little bit about my background, because it's what inspired me to then research and investigate how I could get better myself. So at that time, way back in, I'm talking about 1986 to 1994, probably, the sort of medical establishment didn't recognize ME, and they referred to it as like the yuppie flu. Well, I think that was probably the Daily Mail. They referred to it as that, which was it's devastating for somebody who is actually going through that illness. It's just horrendous for it to be negated like that. So eventually you come to the conclusion that in actual fact the pharmaceutical industry were not interested. And it made me dig deep into what actually I could do to get myself better. So I did have the help. I went to a clinic down in Southampton, which was a complementary medicine clinic. And a Dr. Kenyon, he gave me all sorts of advice and helped me to basically clean up my gut, because my gut had suffered over the years. From the age of about 16, I developed a white blood cell disorder. And I was in bed for about 6 months, and I had very large bumps that came up on my shins, on my legs. And so I was pumped with, large doses for 6 months of antibiotics and penicillin. And on reflection now, I think that was probably caused by my intolerance to gluten, because I've come across this condition since. I've not actually gone deep down into that condition, but I do know it as one of the side effects of gluten intolerance. So if we go back to my childhood, I had a happy childhood, had this blood disorder when I was about 16 to 17. I then got a place at art college. And then from there, I went on to study a degree, which meant that I moved down to Loughborough from Yorkshire. And so I moved away from my family. These were all traumatic things, because obviously being from a close family all those years and having loads and loads of friends, all of a sudden I found myself in a place where I didn't know anybody. There was only 11 people on my course, and I was very isolated. So I think that impacted on my mental health, probably subconsciously more than I realised. Absolutely loved the course that I was doing. I was doing a three-dimensional design degree in silversmithing and jewellery, majoring in those two things. So absolutely loved that. That wasn't an issue. But living by yourself after the first year in halls of residence, and then going on to live in a flat with two other people, no transport, no way to get home other than the train, cycling to the train station with a big bag of laundry. And, food was not something that I really focused on. My parents, yes, we ate good food. We had an attitude of meat and 2 veg or meat and 3 veg. And that's kind of how I was brought up, which I'm very grateful for, because I think that was certainly, why I was healthy up until this point. So back to the situation of living alone. And you don't tend to focus on the food. You tend to focus on everything else that's going on in your life. So it was only at that point that I actually discovered green and red and yellow peppers, for example. I didn't know they existed before that, because my mum was very much a 60s cook, and the advent of frozen peas was very exciting, and microwaves. So take that a step forward. I did my 3-year degree, and then I left there. I got a job at Topshop. I went back up to Yorkshire, paid off my student debt, and then I got offered a job in Melton Mowbray. So off I was again, went back to Melton Mowbray, got myself a flat in the centre of Melton, lived there for about 3.5 years. And at that point in time, went to work for somebody making gold and silver jewellery.
Okay.
That kind of went wrong, and left there and literally started a business in the bedroom of somebody that I met there. So we started our business from absolute scratch, and we grew that business over a period of 28 years altogether, and it was hugely successful. But during that time, if we go back to 1986, my boyfriend at the time died of a heart attack at 5 o'clock in the morning. And obviously I was there, and that impacted me massively. So the trauma from that was huge and much bigger than I understood really at the time. So of course, again, nutrition took a back seat. I wasn't eating properly. I moved into a different flat, moved over to Leicester, again, very isolated, didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to even live.
Yeah, that's it.
And the only thing I can say, in all honesty, that kept me going really was the fact that there were people in my business partner, and the few staff that we had at that time that were dependent on me turning up, and my parents as well, because I thought, if I depart this world, how is it going to affect them? It would absolutely kill them, traumatize them. And I was literally hanging on a thread at that time. When you faced the desire to end your life, it is a weird place to be, but you can get through it. And looking back, I do think that making sure you're eating the right food, you're getting the right nutrients, the right vitamins, etc., minerals, is absolutely key to your mental health. Yeah. And it's the first thing that you neglect, because you're not interested in you don't see the benefit of taking care of yourself, because your mental health is so diminished that it just takes over. You can't focus on looking after yourself. So self-care takes an absolute backseat.
Can I just interrupt you there? We've got a question in the comments from Kerry Duval.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. Would you say that mental health has been your best friend or your worst nightmare?
Both. Absolutely both, yeah. Because now, if we fast track to where I'm at now, I've been through all of those traumas. I've learned how to get myself healthy. So even though I still have some autoimmune dysfunction, it's minimal and I know how to manage it. So I can manage my own physical wellness, and in turn, that helps me to manage my mental health and my mindfulness. And with the advantage of ARBONNE is that it's a very positive company with lots and lots of personal development. So over the last 5 to 10 years, I've done an awful lot of reading. I've done a lot of personal development books, read audios, all about mindfulness and goal setting and, how to live your best life, basically. So, I have the support of the ARBONNE community, which has been huge to me. And so I learned how to, I learned the simple thing of being grateful. So gratitude in my life is huge, and it comes naturally to me now as well, which I'm really proud to say, because when I first went through my divorce back in 2007, that period of time had been very, very stressful, and I had 2 children, still had the business to run. Like, I was juggling way too many balls, and it was me that took the hit in terms of time spent on myself, on looking after myself, and basically on self-care. So during the sort of that period of time, the last 10 years, I guess, ARBONNE showed me a different way. First of all, how I could look after myself without putting toxins on or in my body, how I could heal my gut, which is the first and foremost thing to keep on top of. And therefore, if you've got a healthy gut, you can absorb the vitamins and minerals from the foods that you eat. Then if you address the kind of foods that you're eating and discover what's causing inflammation in the body, you can then work out what's making you feel ill and what will impact on your mindset. So we're all familiar with brain fog.
Yep.
Brain fog, lack of energy, just generally feeling down, depressed. These can all be simple things like lack of B12 or vitamin D. Vitamin D is the most likely. And for me, I don't absorb iron, so I have to take an iron supplement which is like rich spa water. And these things I can detect in my own body. So now I know exactly, when I don't feel right, what I need to do. And that's fantastic. And having an attitude of gratitude mixed in with that as well means that it's very difficult to actually be unhappy. And I know that sounds a bit odd, but it's true. Because if you take the smallest of things naturally and you're grateful for them when you see them, it could be a robin in the garden. It could be a flower that you just pass by. It could be major things like, being grateful for my grandson, the time that I spent with him, the little things that he says, anything. If you acknowledge those things and you don't even have to say anything, but if you say it out loud, it's better in the first place. But you can just, be grateful for those moments and take that time to actually listen to yourself, being grateful for those little things. So that does help my mindset enormously, and I find it just comes completely natural to me now. In the first place, when I first divorced in 2007, I was very, 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 very unhappy, very stressed. It was, as most people who've been through a relationship breakdown, you're focused on the negativity. You're not focusing on the positive side of things. So I think it's very easy to go off on a tangent down a pathway that's going to get darker and darker and darker. So I think feeding your mind, feeding your body, and taking time out to just do those things that will make you feel better. It could be like affirmations, for example. You can meditate. That helps to deal with negative thought
Yep.
patterns. You can get an app like Headspace. There's loads and loads of apps for meditation. Fantastic music that you can relax to. You can just do something simple like an Epsom salt bath. That's going to make you feel great after it.
Yep.
Help just to draw out those toxins from your body.
Oh,
So be aware, even just water, making sure you
yep.
drink enough water every day, which
Yeah.
for somebody my yeah, somebody my size would be 1.5 liters as a minimum.
Yep.
Because a lot of us are just simply dehydrated, especially
Yeah.
this time of year. If you've got heating on and stuff like that.
I've just comment here, Beverley, coming in from Caroline Dennis, who's our rainbow warrior, and she's saying, so true, Beverley. I suffered from IBS for years. Mindfulness really helps with diet and mindset. Connecting to joy. The rainbow warrior.
Yeah, thank you. Connecting to joy, that's hitting the nail on the head. I have some affirmations that come up on my reminders on my laptop. And one of those is, to seek joy. If you seek out joy, you will be led. I think that's totally true. And sometimes if I'm feeling a bit down, I just think, all right, what can I do to lift my vibration and make myself feel better? And music usually is the quickest, simplest thing. So, put some good music on that's a good frequency. And start bopping around as well, get the oxygen going around your body, and inevitably you're going to feel better by 20 minutes down the line. So physical exercise, important too, but it doesn't have to be strenuous. You could just take yourself off for a long walk, 20 minutes. Walk fast, get the oxygen coming in it deep into your lungs, and breathing deep, holding it for the count of 4 and letting it out again, and you'll feel the difference there as well. So I think there's lots of mindfulness things that you can do, and being aware of perhaps the negative things that you allow your chimp on your shoulder to actually say to you. So you'd be very surprised at the things that you subconsciously have picked up over your lifetime, that things that people have said to you, like money is the root of all evil, all those kind of things, there's loads of them. And when you actually stop and start to listen to that chimp, you start to realize, that you need to just flick him off your shoulder and tell him to go away, because, you need to deal with those negative thoughts. Because
do.
I know that the lady previously in the last program before this, I was listening briefly to her, and she said something that is really, really important to hang on to, and that is, we can't control the things that happen to us, but what we can control is how we respond to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's a good one. Yeah. So I wrote down a few other things as well. So mindfulness in terms of meditation, in terms of affirmations. And if people don't know what affirmations are, again, you can look it up, Google it, you'll find loads. Stick it on your fridge, just write them all out on Post-it notes, like these kind of things, around the house, like, I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am, happy, I am, whatever it is, and say them out loud. And at first you feel really stupid, but then I open my cupboard on a morning, go and get my ARBONNE detox tea and my fizz sticks, and I see my affirmations, and I look at them and I stop and I say a few out loud, and it just immediately lifts your mood, because you remember that you are a great human being, you are kind, happy, all these positive things. And it's just reinforcement of the positivity. Another one I think is important is, don't compare yourself to others, because that's a shortcut to damaging your self-confidence. Everybody has their own journey, and it's absolutely pointless comparing yours to somebody else's. You just need to focus on your own. You must ask for help. That's the other thing. Asking for help is huge, because courage is not ploughing on unaided. It's much braver to recognize your own vulnerabilities and to acknowledge when you actually need help, and then give thanks for that help as well. So if you find somebody who can give you a few, optimistic words, somebody that you look up to, somebody that might be able to afford you 5 minutes just to tell them what they're doing, ask them what they're doing in their day. It just take you away from your own dark place if you're in a dark place. So as we've discussed, gratitude, having an attitude of gratitude, because we've all got something to be grateful for, even if it's just waking up the next day. That is massive. And say it out loud. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for this new day. All those kind of little thank yous throughout the day, they add up to a positive mindset. So you can find a mentor. That's the other thing. So if you know anybody that, like I say, you respect, people who you want to be like, surround yourself with those kind of people. So seek them out. They might, they may be authors of books, or they could be on a podcast or anything. So seek out their influence and surround yourself with their kind of advice, etc. So in other words, you have to look at the people that surround you and choose wisely as to who you spend your time with. I think that's really good advice. So finding a mentor is great, because you can ask them how they overcame their difficulties and how they made their decisions in life. Because what's really important to realize, if people don't, is that failure doesn't matter. Failure is unimportant. It's just how many times you can fall down and get back up again.
Yeah.
So fall down 7 times, make sure you get up 8 times, because how else do you learn? You can't learn unless you actually fail.
Yep.
So, it's nothing to be ashamed of. And sometimes, you can grow up and you have parents that might chastise you, tell you off. And, that becomes a regular thing where you've got somebody saying you're not good enough. You shouldn't do it like this. You should do it like that. Well, there comes a point in your life where you have to sort of draw the line and just say, I am good enough. I am me. I do the things the way I do them. And yes, I can get better. And yes, I will try perhaps harder, or, maybe there is another way to do this, and seek out that help and advice and ask people how they did it. You don't have to do what they say, but you can make a judgment as to whether or not it's a good idea.
This is a brilliant conversation, I have to say, and some of your life would mirror mine. And I've just got a comment come here from Caroline again, which says, yes, so true. Choose the people with which who enrich your life. And I think that's absolutely true, because I think from my own point of view, what really showed up for me, I become a more powerful person when I stopped
Trying to please others.
When I start having relationships with people that drain my energy.
Yeah.
I come away from that, and once I come away from the negativity, it really impaired my own mental health. So it's great conversation, Beverley.
I think you've got to always envisage the positive outcomes, always focus on the positive, and that you will have a good day. And this will be, a great event that you're going to go to, or, just a night out with a friend. Just make sure you don't sit there talking about, other people and being negative, because I think a lot of females can do that. They lose track of the fact that this is their life and they are responsible for creating it. So it's very easy to get dragged down with somebody else's problems. So I think you do have to have boundaries and barriers so that you can help that person. So I think I think the good thing about my experiences with ARBONNE is that it's all about helping other people. So we find a need and we show to that person how they can do X, Y, Z, what products they can use to help them with whatever their problem is. And they're inevitably much better off after it. And you have this sense of achievement that you've actually helped somebody. So I think if you can take that into the rest of your life as well, and I think if you're an empath, which you clearly are, I am, then yes, very often we can come across people who take advantage of that empathy, and will sap your energy because they feed off your energy. And so you need to be very aware, which is something that I never was. I was always very keen to help anybody whenever, but it often is at your own detriment, and you don't realize how much your energy is depleted. Then you end up in bed for 3 days, you know, in the case of having ME especially, because you're completely burnt out. So I've learned to manage my energy, and I've learned to manage that in a way that I realized if you don't put yourself first, you can't help anybody else. You're no good to anybody else. And having children brought that home to me. If I was ill, I couldn't look after my kids.
Yep.
And there was nobody else to look after my kids, because my parents lived 100 miles away. I was very often really stuck. So you have to put yourself first, and that is not selfish. It really is not selfish, whereas I grew up thinking that was selfish.
Well, it took me a long, long time to learn that question.
It does, most of us, which is, why I'm sort of talking about it really now, because for the younger people that might listen to this, I wish that I'd have realised that.
Yeah, I wish I'd learned that at a much earlier stage, because now if I'm feeling down, I've got low energy, I've got I've got slightly low self-esteem, and I'm starting to push towards my depression and anxiety cushioning. I know when to take that mental health break, because I think that is such
recognise the signs.
It's such an important thing, and I think it's not selfish, because if you don't put yourself in that position, then you're not serving yourself, you're not serving your business, you're not serving your family. And one thing that struck me, and again, it took a long time for the penny to drop, and that is the person who is the strongest, i.e., like you, doing everything for everyone else, is the one that ends up collapsing with the mental health problem, because they've always put everybody else first. Yet when you swing that and you get control of your mind, then you're in a far stronger place, I find.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're much more able to, like you say, help other people. And I think if you're empathic, then that's pretty much what you're about, is helping other people, because we're all on this planet to be together, live together as human beings, and to support each other. So I think if you take the emphasis off of your own negative situation and turn that into a positive, you can then take it one step further and help somebody else with their issues or problems or whatever it is, without getting too sucked into it, so that they make you responsible for their problem. Because what I've realized is, with regards to health and wellness, is that a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for their health. And first and foremost, you have to take responsibility for your own health, and you have to understand that your food is your fuel. So whatever you're putting inside your body is going to have an external physical impact. And the sooner you do that, the better. So I had experience a few years back of working and trying to do a workshop for a young people's homeless charity. And I was absolutely shocked. I did one module 1 week that was about nutrition and how to cook, because I realized they probably didn't have a clue how to cook for themselves. I went into the kitchen, there was no cutlery because they might harm themselves. So how are they supposed to cook when there's no cutlery? You know, the cooker was one of these old 1950s things with a hood across the top that had a grill. Dad brought a loaf, a white bread loaf, and put about 6 pieces of toast onto there, and that was going to be food. There is no nutritional value in that whatsoever, and that is, you know, going to damage your health. And I felt very, very distressed by it, to be honest. I just didn't know what to do, and I asked them, you know, what do you eat? And they said, oh, McDonald's or Subway. And I'm like, every day? Yeah. And I'm just like, you know, you go to the market, go at 4 o'clock. You can get a whole bag of fruit and vegetables for £1. You know, you can get loads of fruit and vegetables, but it's just education, you know, and they're not educated, I don't think, at school anymore in domestic science. I don't think they've got any nutrition education. It's not something that schools focus on. I might be wrong, but certainly when my children were at school, it wasn't. So that education has to come from the home. So if they don't get that in whilst they're living at home, and especially those kids that are thrown out of home when they get to 15, in tragic circumstances, you know, their lives are going to spiral downwards pretty much from there.
Yeah, very much. So I've just got a question there, a comment there from Caroline. I have learned just to listen to, but not to try to save others, as they can only change from the inside out.
That's absolutely right, and that's what I've come to realise, is that yes, I'm happy to help people, but they have to help themselves. So if I can help somebody to look at things in a different way, that's you know, that's a real positive thing. And if they can then take that one step further to looking at how they, you know, what their self-care regime is, then that's another thing, and then that will lead to another and another and another. But you know, mindfulness and well-being, these are all things that are not taught at schools. And if the people, you know, the children haven't got those kind of parents, it has a knock-on effect, doesn't it? Because those parents never had it, so they never taught it to their kids, and it just goes on and on and on. And then you've got the greater impact, because it fans out, affects the people that you come into contact with. So we have a responsibility to ourselves first and foremost, but then we have a responsibility to others as well. So I think.
Yeah, it's all right, Beverley. I've got a few questions here.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need to go straight there. You know, it's not a problem. I'll tell you why. For a start, I will be a classic guinea pig, and the reason I say that is I've not been the healthiest eater over the years, and I have, because of high pressure jobs and situations and the impact on my mental health. I've had IBS. I've had to have an operation for a hiatus hernia. I suffer from acid reflux. I've got, last week I had to have a gastroscopy to go down and check there wasn't anything.
It's called.
Yeah, that's the one. And you know, checking out to see whether or not there was any nastiness down there. I mean, I've got, you say we have it. I smoke, and I'm not proud of that fact. I have tried to give up 10 times plus. I did manage for 4 years. Then a stressful moment, I went back there. I went down that slippery slope. I've got to turn my life inside out. I'm a type 2 diabetic too. Insulin dependent. I'm 54, coming up 55 years old.
Yeah.
Now, my fascination when I got onto your website was the weight management side, and how your products actually integrate with somebody that's a diabetic, and particularly one that's using insulin.
I don't know about the one using insulin, because that's usually type 1, isn't it? Diabetes.
That's correct,
type 1.
but I'm a type 2 using insulin.
Yeah. Well, I do know that type 2 diabetes can be enormously improved, if not eradicated, by, you know, focusing on the dietary side of things. So, you know, if you decide to focus on your nutrition and your food and improve that, then your diabetes type 2 will probably improve. But please be aware, I'm not a doctor, I'm not qualified to tell you that, but I have seen, you know, incidences, and it is well known in actual fact that nutrition plays a big part in the onset of it, and also in managing it and getting rid of it.
Yep. Yeah. No,
So,
I meant
yeah,
that.
it should be entirely possible to improve that. And
Well,
also with it, your acid reflux, which I think is called GERD.
yeah.
Again, that can be a side effect of gluten. There
Yep.
could be other issues with that, but I would suggest focusing on your gut health with probiotics and prebiotic sachet or supplement that would, you know, massively improve that. And then obviously, if your gut is inflamed, you're not going to be absorbing the nutrients correctly. And that
Yeah.
will then impact on
Yeah.
inflammation in the body and everything else. And it becomes a problem because you get the overgrowth of bad bacteria such as yeast, which is known as candida, and
Yeah.
that is very acidic scenario. So your body becomes more and more acidic, and you want to alkalinize your body, which you can do through eating lots more vegetables. So this is
Yeah.
why people,
Absolutely.
you know, they might revert to being vegans or vegetarians, or, you know, at least 80-90%. So in the 30-day program that I coach people in, we have a proportion of what you should have on your plate. So 25% will be like protein from a good source of protein. It can be from meat. We don't exclude meat, sorry, even though the products are vegan. And the reason the supplements are vegan is because we don't use any inflammatory foodstuffs, but also say something like dairy will inhibit the bioavailability of the supplements. But the supplements are not about replacing food. The supplements are enabling you to get off the you know, the quick fix carbs and sugars, because a lot of people reach for energy from sugar and carbs.
Okay.
So we're replacing those things that you shouldn't be eating with clean, you know, nutrient dense foods. So it's not about counting calories. You could eat as many calories as you want, as long as it's from the right kind of foods. And
Yeah.
that includes good fats. So, you know, you want good fat in your diet. You don't want to exclude fat. Fat can
Yeah.
have
You're certainly talking down the route of where my doctors are actually going at the moment. I've got a couple of comments here. Adam's joined the podcast, and his comments are: "Hi, it's Adam. Welcome to Warrior TV, Beverley, and
Thank
a
you.
great start to performing these interviews, Simon." And he's then got a follow-up comment. A bit of housekeeping. Tune in tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. in the UK as Steve Knapp and Tessa Spanberg are back on with Empower You, and together they are going to be discussing grief. That'll be an interesting one, and I will come in and have a look at that. But going back there, you know, it's absolutely great, and I think the benefits there. We should say that Arbonne is a
Arbonne.
Arbonne
Arbonne.
is a network marketing company specializing in that type of health. But I think also from that, and it was with me when I've dabbled with network marketing, is the personal development, and that clearly helped your journey. And
Yeah.
I'd say it's helped mine. I mean, I do meditation and mindfulness and everything else, but really just developing as an individual and as a person. I've got an absolute passion when it comes to personal development, and yeah, it's clearly helped you. Would you like to just talk a little bit about that?
About the personal development. Yeah, I mean, if you ask people if they would like to earn extra money by joining any of the network marketing companies, etc., they will say, "Oh, I don't have time." That's a common excuse.
Yep.
I think when you then ask them to tot up the amount of hours that they spend doing things such as watching television
Yep.
or box set movie things or whatever, It's a huge amount of time. It's at least 2 or 3 hours a day. And that's if they're working full time. So you do have the time outside of your, necessary things of like sleeping, eating, going to work. You've still got 24 hours in a day. So
Yep.
if you were to choose, for example, a lot of the people that I know, they do what's called Miracle Morning. There's a book by Hal Elrod, which is
Yep.
called Miracle Morning. And it explains to people how they can just take that extra hour before everybody else in the household gets up. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, they can do their affirmations. They can do 10 pages of a personal development book. I've got a whole list of books, if anybody would like it, that they could, have a look at. Some are spiritual, some are business, some are relationship based.
Yep.
So there are loads and loads of books. Some of the great business gurus, you can read their books. They're incredible, and they'll give you all sorts of pointers and success tips on how to manage your mind and how to manage every aspect of your life, so that you have an attitude of wanting success in your life, no matter where it might be. So it might be relationship, it might be business, it might be your job, it could be your relationships with your spouse, your kids. You're going to get the benefit from reading these books, and there are lots of audios as well now. So
Yeah, absolutely.
you can put an audio in on the car when you're going to work, if you've got a car, or on your mobile phone. You can download any of the podcasts, the apps, and listen to all of these things. There's some great things on TED Talks as well.
Yeah.
Motivational speakers, people whose whole business is about motivating people and how to do that, so that you get more results and more of whatever it is you want it out of life. So it's all out there. You could spend 24 hours a day listening to personal development books and audios. And so if you do something like your own Miracle Morning, then you could do that every single morning, 6 till 7 a.m.
Yep.
And your own personal growth would rocket by just giving over half an hour or an hour every single day to your own personal growth. And that in turn contributes, in my opinion anyway, to your own personal happiness.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree there. I totally agree. And the Miracle Morning, funny enough, I've got that on my bookshelf.
Yeah, have you? Yeah, and
I have indeed. And another one I've got that's very similar to the Miracle Morning is the 5 a.m. Club.
Yes, yeah. I'm not sure of the 5 a.m. Club.
Yeah, no, the 5 a.m. Club's got the same principles, as I understand it, as the Miracle Morning, and that it's just a case of everyone waking up at 5 o'clock and starting their day then, and obviously doing everything that you're saying, but probably a bit of exercise in there and everything else, and they set their day up. And I think the argument is with that, well, what they do there is that when you're in that space, that's when you can work on your business, you can develop your business.
That's right, yeah. Your business will only grow at the level of your own personal development. So if you want your business or your career to grow, then it's essential that you donate X amount of time to your own personal growth.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at one of my lists, and The Secret I would recommend to everybody, because I wasn't introduced to Secret until 2007. Couldn't tell you what age I was at that point, probably 36, and that made a big impact on me. It's a book by Rhonda Byrne, and it's all about how what you think about you can bring about. So it's about your thoughts create your reality. So you can get that as a DVD, or you can get it as an audio, or you can get it as a physical book. And then she wrote The Magic after that. So both of those are worth reading. There's
I've been told there's a sequel out now to the secret DVD, but I can't remember what it's called.
Well, there's the magic, but then there is another one. Yes, you're right, and I can't think what that is. But the secret and the magic, I can't remember what the other one is. But they're the most impactful, especially to a new person who's not
Yeah.
come across them. In terms of business, Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about, you know, earning money outside of like the norm,
Yeah.
outside of the quadrant. So if you're a self-employed person, then you certainly need to know about that. Well, if you're anybody, you need to know about that. It's the power. That's the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some, you know, good motivational ones like Daring Greatly, Brené Brown, Be
Yeah.
Obsessed or Be Average, Grant Cardone, 5 Levels of Leadership, John Maxwell, Leading the Life You Want,
Yeah.
Stuart Friedman, How Successful People Think, John Maxwell.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
brilliant titles there.
yeah, Instant Confidence by Paul McKenna. His books are worth looking at. And then It's Not About You, Real Leadership, Real Time, A Guide to Stress-Free Living, You Were Born Rich. That's one that really impacted me. You Were Born Rich by Bob
Yeah.
Proctor.
Yeah, Bob
And
Proctor,
another one,
brilliant.
yeah, another one by Bob Proctor that impacted me was Live and Let Go.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah,
About
very much so.
letting go of situations. Eat That Frog, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. That's Susan Jeffers.
Yeah.
That's a great book for people because it's not a big one. It's very small, but it's straight to the point. And it kind of just says, look, you know, face your fear and deal with it,
Yeah.
because by doing that, you're going to feel a lot better very quickly and realize that it was just a fear.
No, you're certainly right, Beverley. I think in fact, actually, we're over the 45-minute mark now. So if you'd like to round up on what you
It's a bit early for me,
say,
Simon.
if you got a final message that you would like to leave us with, that'd be great.
Well, I think I did write down some quotes actually. Yeah, ending that on Living and Letting Go by Bob Proctor. I think that's a good place to end. And that trust that the universe has got your back. Be smart enough to hold on, but be brave enough to let go.
Yeah.
You're braver than you believe, and you're stronger than you seem, and you're smarter than you think. That was Christopher Robin from Winnie the Pooh. So
No, that's absolutely brilliant. I think Winnie the Pooh has got a lot to what's the word I'm looking for?
you mean it's
There's
got
a
a lot
lot,
of wisdom in there.
yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of
Yeah.
wisdom in there, and it's absolutely brilliant for messages there for mental health and that. And I wish something you touched on earlier with children being taught it in school. I mean, Winnie the Pooh is one of the first places you can start to learn that. But I've been an advocate now for some while. I think that you should be introducing a lot of the mental wellbeing techniques in probably year 6 before they go up to secondary education, because I think that jump from year 6 to year 7 is massive and impactful. And if they're learning that then through secondary education, then hopefully when they start to get into their options and their exams and the stress that's all around that, they'll be able to cope better with their mental health. I'm a real advocate of that.
Yeah, I think it's very important that people keep in mind the fact that their mind is connected to their physical body.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if they allow their mind to suffer too much from stress, and they don't focus on how to, you know, take care of themselves mentally and emotionally, then it will come out physiologically and impact their health overall. So that is essentially what I would say. And also, you know, look after and look at what you're eating.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. On that note,
Okay.
it's been a very fantastic 50 minutes, and really enjoyed listening to you. You
Thank you,
obviously have got
Simon.
a lady of great passion, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank
And
you.
this is Mental Health Warriors TV, and
Merry
Simon,
Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everyone. This is Simon McDougall standing in for Adam DeVille. I'm the mental health mental health warrior for workplace mental health. And thank you very much.